Dr. Savitri Vasudev is the first woman scientist of India in category A in the discipline of Ayurveda recognized by the Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. She did her postdoctorate in Bhagwan Super Speciality Hospital in Whitefield as a government-appointed scientist in the Department of Cardiology. But for her Sri Sathya Sai Bal Vikas Excellence Award that she received in 2019 at Prashanti Nilayam is her life's most treasured moment. Sara Madam, and a warm and hearty welcome to you to the studios of Sri Sathya Sai Media Center. This month of January 2026 is going to witness a Vedic conference at Prashanti Nilayam, and you are someone who has spent more than 3 decades practicing Ayurveda, and you have spent any number of years picking up pearls from the Vedas concerning our health, concerning how we can maintain this temple that Bhagwan says he has gifted us so that we can reach the divine, use it to reach the divine. So if you can share with us those tips that you have picked up from the Vedas, which will help us to maintain our body for the sake of the divine.
Sairam, let's divide Vedic period into 3. Health science has been mentioned, they have been mentioning in almost all the eras. Ayurveda was documented after 1500 BC to 80 BC. But Vedic Kal was much before that. As per the carbon dating, astronomical carbon dating sky view, Rig Veda existed. Rig Veda was documented between 8000 to 4000 BC.
Wow.
So, pre-Vedic era was still before that. And it is said that Krita Yuga was before the Rig Veda period. Krita Yuga. Because Charakacharya in Charaka Samhita, he has mentioned that in one of his chapters, in Janapadodvamsa is a chapter which he writes more on the pandemic and epidemic during those days.
Wow.
So he has written in that in Krita Yuga, there were millions of people who lost their lives.
In Krita Yuga?
Across the world. And because they lost their lives, now it should not happen that we lose the same amount. Let us come together. Charaka held the first world conference on health science in Himalayas. He had invited almost all the Rishi Munis across the world, and they all sat together and they had a discussion how to improve or how to bring better health to the world. That's what is the science. But even though he documented it later, health science had already existed. Like it is said, Brahma smrutva ayusho vedam prajapati majigrahat soshvinautau sahasraksham sotri putran dikan munin. This, what Charaka is saying is, Brahma recollected the health science. That means the knowledge existed even before Brahma. He recollected those health science. Brahma Smrutva Ayusho Veda. What science? Ayusho Veda. That is the science of longevity. He recollected and he transferred it to Daksha Prajapati. Daksha Prajapati gave it to Ashwini Kumar. Ashwini Kumar transferred it to Soshvinauto Sahasraksham. Sahasraksham means Indra. Indra then distributed it to all the Rishi Munis. Bharadvaja Muni was his first student. And other rishis like Agnivesha, like Punarvasu, Atri, Atreya, all those Durvasa, all they understood Veda, Ayurveda from Indra. So this is how Vedas came into existence. Like Ayurveda was, it came into existence. But the health science was already there. During Rig, there are so many instances where Rig Veda has mentioned about the health in few tips. They were having a kind of X-ray vision or Aturasya Antaratmanam Pravishya. That's what one has to do. When a physician checks a patient, Charaka has instructed the Ayurveda Acharyas to actually go inside the system and feel what they are having, what they are feeling, and then you treat. That's how we are supposed to do. Aturasya antaratmanam pravishya rogi nirikshet. So those days they were doing it. All those Rishi Munis had that foresight. First of all, they had foresight. Secondly, they had that X-ray vision. They knew what is happening inside, what metabolism is going on, all the functions. In fact, in Narayana Sukta, let me give you an example. Narayana Sukta actually explains 60% of it is explained as the anatomical features, anatomical structure, of the heart. The proper structure or the anatomical features are explained in Narayana Sukta. It is not the spiritual aspect. It is the proper heart with the surface anatomy. How is it so? 40% Narayana Sukta, he explains, it has been explained as a Paratpara Swarupa, the omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent Swarupa of the Narayana. But after that, after around 40% Narayana Sukta is over, like Anantamavyayam Kavigam Samudrehentam Vishwasha Sambhuvam, till here the Paratpara Swarupa is explained. That Narayana has an infinite Swarup. Samudrentam Vishwasambhuvam is horizon. He extends till the horizon. He is formless, but he has a huge form. That's what Anantam Avyayam. But after that starts Padmakosha Pratikashagam Hrudayam Chapyadho Mukham. What it is saying is Hrudayam is like a inverted lotus bud, and Adho Nishthyavitastyante Nabhyamuparitishthati is Adhonishtya is actually below the collarbone.
Mhm.
Adhonishtya. Many places the translation has been done as below the Adam's apple. No, if it was Adam's apple, they would have said Kanthamani. So Adam's apple cannot be Adhonishtya. Ayurveda says Urdhvajatrugat and Adhojatrugat. Urdhvajatrugat is above the collarbone. Is all vyadhis which occurs above the collarbone. Today, science, ENT is more relevant as Urdhvajatrugat. Adhojatrugat is below the collarbone, whatever diseases or whatever organs are below the collarbone is Adhojatrugat. Now, Adhonishtya Vitastyanti. Vita is a small distance like this, from the Angushtha Mula, Angushtanta to Tarjanyanta is the distance between these two. Vitastyante. Adhonishtya Vitastyante Nabhyamuparitishthati is above Nabhi, below the clavicles, below the collarbone, the heart is there.
Wow.
This is what a surface anatomy today they explain. What is there, what is above, what is below, what is at the side. And now, actually, they are explaining a colorful picture, as if the movie is like the television view, not the X-ray will give only black and white. Even the echocardiogram of the heart will give the resolution black and white only. And even the angiogram will give the black and white picture of, whatever the movement in the right coronary artery or LCX or the LAD, they will give a black and white picture. We will not have a colorful picture. But here, Narayana Suktam is exactly explaining everything, the silhouettes of the heart, the background of the heart. Jwalamala Kulambhati. What is Jwalamala? Series of colorful lights is Jwalamala. Behind, there is an aura, heart in between and aura. There is series of colorful lights. Jwalamala Kulambhati. And what is happening? They are saying, Sograbhuk Vibhajan Tishthan. What is happening in the heart is, heart actually does two types of action. One it takes, another it distributes. Agrabhug, heart is doing Agrabhug, Sograbhug, Vibhajan Tishtan. Agrabhug is proactively consume. Bhuk means consumption. Agrabhog is proactively consuming. Means the inferior and superior vena cavas, the blood is coming and the heart is sucking in blood. Sograbhug, Agrabhug, that way. And Vibhajan is, it is distributing blood. Tishtan aharam ajarah kavihi. So it is like all over the body, it is distributing throughout the lifespan. And what it is distributing? Aharam. It is distributing nutrition to the body throughout. Ajaraha is throughout the lifespan of the body. Ajarah kavi. Tirya gurdhvam adhashahi. Actually, the blood vessels are so vast and it is distributed all over the body. And rashmayastasya santata. It is like the capillaries coming together and forming a net. Rashmayastasya santata. Actually, tasyante sushiragam sukshmam is also there in between, before the sogra bhog. What it is saying, tasyante, inside the heart, there are sushira. Saushirya means cavities, chambers. Sushiragam sukshmam, there are very minute chambers in the heart. Sushiragam sukshmam. So that way, and how the heart looks is as if in the sky there are blue clouds, and amidst that, Neela Toyada Madhyastha, amidst the cloud, Vidyut Lekha iva Bhasvara. Vidyut Lekha means lightnings. Vidyut Lekha is a lightning. It gives a visual as if in amidst the blue clouds. These blue clouds are like the lung fields, they are shown black here. Because they are clouds amidst this heart with all the colorful attachment. It's all Jwalamala. It's radiant. It's effulgent. Behind the heart is aura, which is radiant, effulgent. And Vidyut Lekha, it looks as if it's lightning going across. Then what is happening is Tasya Shikhaya Madhye Paramatma Vyavasthitaha. Now what is happening is Tasya Shikhaya is amidst these streaks of flames. The Shikha is the streak of flame. Amidst this streak of flame, who is there? Paramatma Vyavasthitaha. He is exactly explained how the chambers of the heart, the silhouettes of the heart, the attachments, the blood vessels, all across, going all the way. And because of these flames, it brings heat inside. It creates heat. That is there in the line. So that warmth, because of these flames, the warmth is there. The moment Narayana leaves, that warmth goes. Usually in conventional science, body thermostat is in the hypothalamus. But the actual warmth starts from the heart. So that is the thing. Now just imagine when this Paramatma Vyavasthita, he is saying, you can call it by any name.
Yes.
By Sa Brahma, Sa Shiva, Sa Hari, Sendra, Sokshara, Paramaswarat. You can call by any of these names. He is there in you. Just imagine if Bhagwan calls and says, I'm coming to your house tomorrow. What we will do? We'll first remove all the unwanted things of the house. First we will clean, and we will call only those people who are our good well-wishers and who will be happy to be with Swami, to be with Bhagwan, and who will get the darshan. Right, we will do that. Now this Paramatma, this Narayana, our heart, we are hosting Narayana right from the birth, Ajaraha Kavi, right from the birth to the death. And we are not aware, we are not taking care of the heart, because abode, he is there. Now Prashanti Nilayam is the abode of Bhagwan. Our heart is abode of Sa Brahma, Sa Shiva, Sa Hari, Sendra, Sokshara, Paramaswarat. Take care of the heart. Now those days, they had to mix spirituality in between. They had to actually put the health issues, health science, to explain how important is your heart in between spirituality, because people would comprehend spirituality more. Wherever supernatural power is explained, immediately put some tips about health so that they will understand that health is more important. That is why heart has been given so much of, and the Narayana Sukta is over. Almost 60% of Narayana Sukta, heart has been explained. Just imagine, now if Narayana gives a threat that I am leaving, when is that time? when the streak of light, the flow of that flame dims in between. That is what happens, the stenosis. Now, that is what happens when the the person has chest pain and we have to rush him to angiogram. And then angioplasty is done and immediately Jwalamala Kulam Bhati, and then that Vidyutlekhe Vabhaswara again starts. So the moment, even if slightest of the block or whatever percentage, after about 90%, we have to slightly dilate it so that the Narayana doesn't threaten us that he will leave. So it is important that we have to keep Narayana in the place. We have to take care of the heart. What happens is, Agrabhug, when the heart does Agrabhug, it actually sometimes gets overloaded when we do Agrabhug. Agrabhug means proactively consume. When we proactively consume food, the heart adjusts itself to dilate the lumen of the veins, and then there is a load in the heart, then volume overload occurs. Because of the volume overload in the heart, there are consequences. One of the consequences, swelling in the leg. There are many other consequences where we encounter. How we have to take care of the heart? We have to eat good food. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, Ayusattvam balarogyam sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha sthira hridya ahara satvika priya. Now, those food which are sattvic, they are good for heart. And what are those food? Food which has still there are the fruit vegetable has juice in it. They are not dried. They are good for heart. Food which is freshly made, which is not heated twice, they are good for heart. All these, that which is not a product of ahimsa, they are good for heart. They are all, it increases the lifespan of Narayana in the heart. That's what is. What Ayurveda says is snigdham sheetam atimatram. Guru sheetam ati snigdham atimatram shamashnatam. When you eat heavy food, when you eat snigdha is more oily food. Guru sheetam ati snigdham atimatram samashnatam. It means heavy food and very oily and atimatram. Atimatram means too much quantity. When we eat a lot, eating a lot, the agrabhog in our heart will also will have to work accordingly. Agrabhog, when we do, actually scientifically, the inferior vena cava, when it increases the diameter size, that causes volume overload in the heart. So when we eat more, they are giving strain to the heart. I have done work on this when heart failure patients, I did the survey. There are enough data which proves that patients who are suffering from heart failure have been having a lot of munching habits and eating atimatram, like eating overeating habit. Like we have given 1,000 rupees for a thali, let us give justice to the food. So that is not right. You have to give justice to the stomach. That's more important. So this is what the Narayana Suktam is saying, that eat properly. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu. Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter it is saying, Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogi bhavati dukhaha. If you eat in a restricted quantity, good enough food, if you have good lifestyle of your exercises, and if you have good sleep, you will never be unhappy. In fact, Charaka has said how much to eat. You have to make 3 parts of the stomach. Trividha kukshiya. First part has to be filled with solid. The second part, the 2/3, the second part has to be mixed, it should be water. And the third part should be vacant. You have to keep it for gas. So what we do, we don't even leave space for the gas. And then we start suffering. And when the amashaya is stomach, when that is trained, there is a direct pressure to the heart. That's what Ayurveda says. We have to actually take care of our food habits. Heart disease is a preventable disease. They have been telling right from Rigveda time. It is a preventable disease. You take care of your eating habits, you can revert back to normalcy. Today, the United Nations, the WHO are saying the same thing. Eat twice. There's no need to eat the third time. Eat little. You will still sustain. You will still have a good health. That's how Narayana Sukta has explained.
I think all of us, especially in Prashanthi Nilayam, as well as in the entire Satyasai organization, world over, people chant Vedas. Perhaps nobody had that clue that Narayana Suktam is not just an adoration of Narayana, but it is actually adoration of the Narayana who is in us, as our heart. And I think that is the glory of the Vedas also.
Exactly.
Vedas are said that Vedas means knowledge. Entire knowledge of the cosmos is there in the Vedas. That's why the Vedas are divine. I think Vedas are synonymous with the divine.
Yeah.
As you very beautifully said, even Brahma recollected, which means what? This knowledge is already there. It is like the divine is already there. This knowledge came into being just as the divine created the creation. And this knowledge also is very subtle, very cryptic, and it is very layered. When we look at Narayana Suktam from one perspective, we are getting an elaboration of how it is meant for our heart. I think when we look at the same Suktam with a different perspective, perhaps we will get a completely different meaning of Narayana Suktam. And I think that is how our Vedas are very, very coded.
Exactly.
Because as I speak to you, I remember how just like Rudram is all about praising that form of Lord Shiva, the Rudra form of Lord Shiva, while it describes the entire creation, every aspect of creation. At the same time, they say in Rudram you can find the names of all the herbs. All of this knowledge is very, very, very coded. It is as mystifying as the divine himself. And thank you so much for giving us this glimpse of Narayana Suktam. And I think that's why when we chant these mantrams, we should do it as if there is God who is reverberating
exactly
in our tongues.
Like a lightning.
Like a lightning.
Still, yes.
Even when we chant properly, they will do us good.
Exactly.
And if we spend that time to understand them, and if we have some insights, definitely we can unravel the mysteries of the universe and the universe outside of us and the universe inside of us.
That's true. Actually, talking about the food, when Narayana Sukta says take care of the heart, indirectly it is trying to say that let Narayana be in you for long.
Exactly.
So don't allow him to go early.
Yes.
Similarly, there are other food which is mentioned in Purusha Sukta. Purusha Suktam first says that yad anne nati rohati. Utamrutattvasya shanaha yad annena atirohati. Purusha increases with food profusely. It grows profusely with food.
Mm-hmm.
How is that so? And Purusha Suktam is actually Rigveda. It is the 10th mandala, the 90th rucha of Rigveda, Purusha Sukta. So what it has been said is Chandrama manaso jataha chaksho suryo ajayata. That is said.
Yes.
Now, how can be a moon food to mind?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me claim moon is food to mind. How is that so? Moon interacts with the biological factors in the body and especially the mental health. Moon. How is that so? Moon's waxing and waning, actually it relates to the mind fabric. The waxing, that is the increasing trend of the moon's light falling on earth, and the mind's fabric slowly increases, as the new moon to full moon, how it keeps increasing. Similarly, the mind fabric increases. And the day when it is full moon, the mind is in the maximum size of the fabric. What does that mean? When mind expands, there are more scope for desires, more scope of wandering, more scope of getting disturbed or a kind of anxiety. Then they start thinking how to work instead of sleeping. Even moon is a time when we are supposed to take rest, or a kind of we give rest to our system. But during the waxing period, the mind becomes so wandering, it increases its fabric so vast or wide that it slowly reduces. This is a natural phenomenon occurring in all of us. We tend to sleep less by 45 minutes by the time the full moon comes. Already, if a person is suffering from insomnia or a sleeplessness disorder, still more, because of this natural phenomenon, the mind fabric automatically starts wandering. So moon actually feeds the mind. The main part is, the thumb rule is we are supposed to shrink our mind so that we concentrate inwards. Arjuna has told Krishna that Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi balavadhrudam in 6th chapter.
Yes.
So, tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkram. It is very difficult to control the mind. It is like controlling the vayu, controlling the wind. It is so difficult. So, normally also, during waxing time, we are subjected to have the anxiety, or a kind of those people who are already having mental health. That today's time, there are more and more people suffering from mental health disorder. There are more psychologists and psychiatrists. Their profession is in boom, because every person now and then they are consulting a psychiatrist or psychologist, because as it is, their screen time is so much that they are so alert and they are not getting sleep. And because of sleeplessness, the next day becomes they are more anxious, or anxiety disorder comes, and then depression comes. Depression is not wrong. Getting depression, it is allowed to be depressed, because waxing and waning, our moon, because of the moon, our mind can be depressed. We can get depressions. Because even Arjuna was depressed during the war period. Arjuna was so depressed, he was telling Krishna that Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parisushyate vepathushcha shariram. He was shivering. Gandivam sraumsate hastat. From his hand, even the weapons fell down. So Krishna was his psychiatrist, and he explained to him how to control the mind. So depression or mental health is not a problem. But staying in depressed state is wrong. Come out of it, just as waxing and waning stage. Normally also, physiologically, we are going to be depressed at some point of time. But coming out is important. Don't stay in that. So, Chandrama manaso jataha. Our mental health depends upon the Chandramas, the moonlight, how much it falls on earth. It affects our mind a lot. That's what it is. It means, Chaksho Suryo Ajayata. Now, our eyes are born from the sun. At the same time, eyes get food from the sun. It gets nourishment from the sun. That's why eyes grow. Anne nati rohati, we have to explain. Yad anne nati rohati. Now, eyesight grows with the bright sunlight. Without sunlight, without the brightness, I cannot perceive knowledge. I cannot gather knowledge from the world, from any object. So, sun has to be there to get the knowledge around. Chaksho Suryo Jayata. Actually, looking at that, even Surya Upanishad explains about that Yat Surya Bhimukho Japtva Mahavyadhi Bhayahat Pramuchyate. Surya Upanishad. When you look at the sun, when you face the sun and look at the sun and chant this mantra, you will be relieved from Mahavyadhi Bhayat Pramuchyate. It is said in Surya Upanishad, we chant very popularly, where the Gayatri mantra is there. So, Surya Bhimukho, they did not say Purva Bhimukho. If it was Purva Bhimukho, you sit in the house. You face the east and chant Surya Upanishad. No. Suryopanishad has specifically mentioned Suryabhimukho japtva. You have to face, you have to look at the sun and chant. Then you get the benefits. How? It's difficult to look at the sun. But it is easy during dawn and dusk. You get the benefits. Your actually melatonin. They increase. When melatonin increases, we become more alert. When Surya comes, we need not sleep. We need not have drowsy feeling. So when we are looking at the sun, our melatonin increases. And even endorphins are released. Endorphins are happy hormones. So our depression, they go against depression. And there has been a lot of studies where endorphin release, melatonin increase, all they have shown. It reduces cardiovascular disorders. I know people who have done research on Saura Sukta. Though Saura Sukta is not popularly chanted, but there are few sectors like Karnataka, Andhra and Maharashtra, they chant during Sandhya Vandanam. Saura Sukta. Saura Sukta is taken from Rig Veda, first mandala, 50th Rucha. It has almost around 13 shlokas. I'll just mention the 11th one. Udyanadya mitra mahamarohan uttaram diva rudrogam mama surya harimanancha nashaya. Means what? When we chant Saura mantra, Saura Sukta, your heart disease will be it will be dissolved. Not only heart disease, Rudrogam is heart disease. Harimanam chanashaya. What is Harimanam? It is jaundice. So, jaundice and Rudrog, when you chant Saura Sukta, you will get rid of that. Even today, there are people who do mantra siddhis. They chant such mantras and remove the bilirubin count in water. They touch the patient and take a needle and they put it in water and they chant this Suktam. Because it is Rigveda and it is a Saura Sukta in Rigveda and it is very powerful. And they bring down the bilirubin count and the water becomes yellow. Even today there are people who does that, but we are expertise in changing the lifestyle, modifying the eating habits and giving medicines. So our sector is different. But there are people who follow this tradition, and they very few of them are there. Mantra siddhis. So that's how the Harimanam Nasha. Harimanam is jaundice. That is destroyed. Saura Sukta. One of my friend did research that he did on quite a number of around more than 50 patients research on Saura Sukta, and he tried it on hypertensive patients. And chanting Saura Sukta, the patient's hypertension got dissolved. So that's how the Saura Sukta is so effective. Chaksho Suryo Ajayata. Mukhad Indrascha Agnischa. Now, Mukha can be the entire face, or it can be only the mouth. Here we are referring to mouth. Here, Mukha, the Mukha gets food from Indra. Indra he rules our Indriyas. And he gives strength to consume food. Consume through mouth. Indra gives strength to consume through mouth. What does that mean? He is seated in all the 6 taste buds. Unless those taste buds are active, we cannot relish food. So consuming food, the taste buds, Madhura, Amla, Lavana, Katu, Tikta, Kashaya. Those 6 types of tastes we are able to identify just because of this Jnanendriya, just because of the strength we have in the mouth. You know, Atimatram punah sarvan ashudoshan prakarshayet. You know what happens? When we eat atimatra, when we eat lot of sweet, then there is a scope for another disease. Eating excess of sweet, people succumb to diabetes. People eating lot of salts, people get succumb to the hypertension. Right. So the 6 taste buds, Madhura, Amla, Lavana, Katu, Tikta, Kashaya. Excess of sweet intake can lead us to diabetes. Excess of salt intake can lead us to hypertension. And excess of sour intake can lead us to acidity. Excess of spicy can lead us to ulcers. And excess of astringent taste, like tobacco, can lead the cells to exfoliate, to grow profusely, and then it can happen, it can lead to cancer. So that's how things work on. Excess of bitter intake leads us to the dryness and stiffness. Excess of bitter intake. Every taste has to be taken in a limited quantity. The thing is, Bhagavad Gita has said, Yatayamam gatarasaha. Puti paryushitam chayat uchishthamapi chamedyam. When you eat that which is decayed or that which is killed and eaten and which is dry and the juice of it has gone, and when one eats the what we call as jhuta, when one has already tasted, the saliva is already there in the food and the other person is eating. When the food is coming in contact with somebody else's saliva and the same food another person eats, uchishtam, that thing is called uchishtam. They can cause drowsiness, a heaviness, a kind of tamasic feeling in the body. And that can change the taste buds, that can actually alter the taste buds. Arasadhyata is one of the symptoms where you can't identify the taste. You don't know. Actually, in heart failure, we have seen that many of the patients cannot identify sweet taste. Some of them cannot identify they cannot recognize or they don't have the knowledge of the salty taste. It's all the grade 3, grade 4 stages of heart failure. They don't have the sensation of few tastes. Some tastes they have. So this is how Mukhat, Indrashcha, the taste part comes. Agnishcha. Here, Agni in Mukha, there are two things in the Mukha. Mukhat, Indrashcha, Agnishcha. The Indra's role was in the Jnanendriya as the taste enhancer. He gives strength to the mouth. The taste bud as a sensory organ, Jnanendriya. Agni is in the Karmendriya, the Vani part. So whatever we speak, it revolves around the earth. It revolves in the sky, cosmic. It revolves in the sky, and that stays. So that is the reason we have to take care. Whatever we speak, it has to be spoken thoughtfully. And Agni is predominant with Vani. That is why Satya, or speaking truth, it is one of the sacrifice. It is even Vani, or the speech, is also called as one of the Agnihotras. And it is the very mouth, the very primary Agni in the mouth is the primary place for Vaishwanara. So that's how Agni and Indra. Indra in the taste is more of Rasadhatu, is the watery part is predominant. And when Vani is concerned, Vani is more predominant with Agni Mahabhut. So that's why Mukhat Indrascha Agnishcha. Pranat Vayu Ajayata. Prana increases by Vayu. Now, Vayu is the wind outside. Whatever we inhale is prana. But it gets converted into Panchapranas. Prana is oxygen. Panchaprana is Pran, Apan, Saman, Vyanudan. Now, there is a Vata dynamics happening inside. I have written an article on Vata dynamics, where each Vata, what Pranavayu does, what Apanavayu does in the body, what Vyanavayu does and what Samanavayu does, it is explained inside. It is there in the public domain. So Prana is oxygen, Udana is carbon dioxide, and Samana is a mixture of gas, that is hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. It's a mixture of gas. And Vyana is nitric oxide. Vyanavayu. I have written a chapter on only Vyanavayu. Vyanavayu stating that Vyanavayu's functions are all ditto with nitric oxide. Whereas, actually, Vyanavayu is written much before. And nitric oxide is discovered in 1980s. And the person who discovered nitric oxide got Nobel Prize. The functions of nitric oxide in the body, the expansion and contraction of the heart muscles, where the pumping action triggers, how the pumping happens and how the heart throws the blood, throws the nutrients to the entire body, and what is the work of Vyanavayu in the heart is explained very clearly. I have given around more than 40 to 45 references from Charaka, Sushruta and Vagbhata only on Vyanavayu. So that means it is such a developed science. It was conventional those days. Today it is in our hand to make it conventional. Because today, of course, the science has improved so much. But if the scientists, if the doctors, if the cardiologists and the Ayurveda practitioners, they come together, we can work a lot, or we can explore more what is there in the Vedas. We can come ahead. We can do a lot. So that's what these Vyanavayu is nitric oxide and Apanavayu is methane and hydrogen sulfide. Right. So oxygen goes in, but what all is this? Actually, all these gas gets food from wind outside. So pranad vayurajayataha. Mukhadindraschagnischa pranad vayurajayata nabhyad asid antariksham. Nabhi gets food from antariksham. How is that so? It's strange. As far as we all understand, Nabhi, we have never used it in our life. But it was a very important medium when we were in the womb, when we were in mother's womb. Nabhi is the umbilical cord which was connecting us from the outer world. That is antariksham for us. When we are in the mother's womb, that was our world. And antariksham for us was this world where we are now. Now, here we are in Bhagwan's womb. Bhagwan says, Mama yonir mahat brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter, this is my womb, mahat yoni. This is mahat. It is a big cosmic womb where I have given, you are all my garbhas. Tasmin garbham dadhamyaham. So, Antariksha is beyond this world. Now, this is our womb. Then where is Nabhi? Nabhyad asid antariksham. Now, antariksha to our world, there has to be some connect. Akashad vayuhu, vayor agnehe, agneraapaha, adbhyah prithivya, prithivyo, prithivya aushadaya, aushadibhyonnam, annat purushaha. Now again it comes back. From Anna, Purusha comes. So, the trend, this is the Nabhi which connects us to Antariksham. And we are all Garbhas in this Mahat Yoni. So, that is the outer world as Antariksham. Right. Nabhyadasid Antariksham. Shirshna Dyaus. Now, head is Shirshna. Dyaus is Akasha. What is the difference? Akasha is the sky. And Antariksha is beyond the sky. Antariksha, there is vacuum. In the sky is the atmosphere. Now, Akasha, Sirshna Dyaus means, why did he say Sirshna Dyaus? Actually, the Purusha Sukta itself starts from Sahasra Sirisha, Purushaha Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat. Now, there is a Upalakshana in this. The whole world, if you count, there is certainly not only 1,000 heads. Sahasra Sirsha. So, Upalakshana means what? Swapratipadakatve sati khetara pratipadakatvam. What that is not mentioned, in addition to that, which is what is mentioned in addition to that which is not mentioned. You know, you have to understand that Sahasra Sirisha Purushaha, 100 heads of Purusha, Sahasrakshaha, he will not have 100 eyes. Akshaha means actually it is not eyes. Ayurveda will call it as Aksha means Indriyas. When a head is mentioned, it will not mention only eyes. It will mention the entire Indriyas because head is the headquarter of all the Indriyas. Aksha is Indriyas and Akshi is eyes. So Sahasrakshaha, if it is Sahasraksha for Sahasra head, it is wrong. So it is Upalakshana. We have to understand the logic that whatever is not expressed in addition to what is expressed here. So that the Upalakshana is, here we have to understand that Dyaus, Shirshnav Dyaus, Sahasra Sirisha. Now I'll give you an example. If we are hosting a party for 100 people, we will only do the head count and we will book a hall accordingly. Right. Now when we are calling 1000 heads, 1000 people, we will not keep the same venue as the 100 people. So there has to be more space to accommodate that many heads. So how the head needs space. Sirshnav Dyaus. Dyaus is space, sky. The head needs space. Sky is the cosmic manifestation of Purusha's head. The immortal manifestation of cosmic nourishment. So, sky is nourishing our head. How it is nourishing? The more your head travels the world, the more you broaden your horizon. Just imagine a person sitting inside the house for years together. He's more susceptible for Alzheimer's and dementia. The more you expose yourself to various places, you will be more matured, you will get more knowledge, you will be more broad to accept things. That's what it means, Sirshnav Dyav. Padbhyam Bhumim. Bhumi, the ground, is food for the legs. You have to walk barefoot for sometimes at least for the foot care, foot reflexology. Ayurveda, according to Ayurveda, there are 5 plus 5 in the foot, 10 marma points. Talarhat, Kshipra, Kurcha, Shira and Gulfa. These are 10 marma points which takes care of other system. When you walk on the grass or on any floor, it is actually stimulating those points. And Kshipra Marma is for the cardiovascular disease. And the Talarhat is also for the heart. It is for the respiratory organs. There are so many diseases. For Gulfa, it is sciatica and back pain. So when we specially ask patients with muscle stiffness, we ask them to walk on the sand, seashore. So for plantar pains or for the gait strength, you are supposed to walk bare-legged on the ground. This is what the foot reflexology, and this is what Purusha Suktam means. Padbhyam Bhumim and Dishashrotrat. What does that mean? Our ears need 10 directions to understand the sound. What are those 10? Dashadik. Purva, Paschim, Uttar, Dakshin. Vayavya, Agneya, Ishanya and Nairutya and Urdhva, Adhas. These are the Dashadiks, 10 directions. Northwest, east, south, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, up above and down below. These are the 10 directions, right? Now, how our ears, supposing one sound comes from this side, from my right side, both ears are around 15 to 20 centimeters apart. If the sound comes to one ear, it delays by 0.6 milliseconds to reach the other ear. But we hear only one sound. It's because the brain triangulates the sound localization. He does, because there are 10 directions, he does sound localization and we are hearing only one sound. What if, just imagine in the phone, we must have experienced many times that we are hearing our own voice and we are not comfortable in hearing that. So the sound localization is very important. There are people who have done a lot of work in the sound therapies. Dr. Shweta Adatia, she's a neuroscientist. She has worked a lot on this, sound therapies. Samaveda, it works on sound therapy. Nimhans has done a lot of work on sound therapy, doing Sama chanting, and they have done EEG. The alpha and theta waves, they are relaxed, and the waves in the brain, they become very normal and relaxed. You know, they are more seen, alpha and theta waves are more seen when Samagana is being played. The sound which comes, sound therapy. So because of this Dashadiks, we are able to hear a single sound. That's what the Purusha Suktam, Rigveda, 8000 year BC has said. And now people are doing more research, and they are, in fact, we have to pick out, explore more such ideas, and we have to do research on such fields. So, Sirshnau Dev Disha Shrotrat. That's what the Purusha Sukta. I have picked up only few lines because we need to cover up other places. The thing is, other Suktams, something very interesting is, few of the organs we have discussed as food. There is another other organ also which is not mentioned, but surprisingly it works miracles. It's Medha Suktam. Medha Suktam is, usually we consider Medha Suktam Saraswati's, right? Saraswati. We usually praise Goddess Saraswati for giving us the cognitive powers, intelligence. What is Medha? Dhi, Dhruti, Smriti, Medha. Dhi is Buddhi. Nishchayatmika Buddhi. Sadasad Viveka Buddhi is Buddhi, intelligence. That which can discriminate between good and bad. What Bhagavad Gita is saying? Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karyo bhaya bhayo bandham moksham cha yo veti. It is said in 18th chapter. When you know when to initiate, when to quit, you should know the right time, and when to hold or when to release. Bandham moksham cha yo veti. Sa buddhi partha satviki. That is the right buddhi. That is the sattvic buddhi one should have. So, dhi. Dhruti is dharana shakti. Dhrutya dharayate. How much we can hold it. That is dhruti, in intelligence, a part of the intelligence. Smriti is smarane shakti, which we can retain for long, years together. Smarane shakti. And medha is grantha karshan shakti medha, is grasping power, is medha. Now, medha suktam is supposed to increase all these features. Dhi, Dhruti, Smriti, Medha. There is a very important tip or a very important point said in Medha Suktam, which we have to follow and enhance our intelligence. We will search for Medha through eyes. Because intelligence, we can get knowledge and we can increase our intelligence. Through ear, whatever we are hearing, drushyate, shruyate, pivyava. So whatever is seen, whatever is heard, we can increase our intelligence. But in Medha Suktam, some other Jnanendriya is explained out of the world. That is, Daivi Medha Saraswati Sama Medha Surabhirjushata Guswaha. What is Surabhi here? Surabhi means fragrance. Increase your intelligence through fragrance.
Mm-hmm.
Surabhi, many people have translated it as Surabhi as wish-fulfilling cow. But here, since we are trained to interpret the shlokas in the health, the well-being way, Ayurveda, Surabhi as one of the important component to enhance the intelligence. How is that so? Our brain can tag the chemical signatures coming through the nose. How? Nasayaha shirasodwaram. It is said there is a direct contact from the outer world to the head. There is a portion in the brain called hippocampus. It's a seahorse structure. It's in the midbrain, both the hemispheres. That can detect, that can identify the molecules, the fragrant molecules, and it can open up the folders, the memory folders. The fragrance can work as a search engine. How? Research studies have been done outside India. I think the Western country, they have done research on the peppermint smell. The fragrance of peppermint was given to the students of 8th grade. And they were asked to practice mathematics. Around 100 students were given peppermint, and they were made to practice mathematics, and 100 students without peppermint. And during the exam, the entire class were exposed to peppermint. Those who had the peppermint smell while practicing, they performed much more than their earlier study, than their earlier marks, and compared to those people. Similarly, rosemary was exposed and they were told to study history. And during exams, they performed extremely well. So this is how aromatherapy works. Surabhir jushatagu swaha, may fragrant medha accept us gracefully. May fragrant medha bless us with right understanding. Daiv ama medha Vishwarupa, Hiranyavarna, Jagati, Jagamya. So, Surabhi is coming in that also. So fragrant medha, give me right understanding. So, hippocampus is that structure which can tag those fragrance. By training your nose, you are effectively training your brain. If you are effectively actually cross-training your brain by increasing the ability of the brain for retaining and restoring the information. That's what Medha Suktam Surabhi means. Through increase your intelligence through the fragrance, and you are activating your brain, and you are actually opening up your memory. Hippocampus is supposed to be the librarian of the brain. It is supposed to be the GPS system in the brain. So that's how Medha Suktam works. Not only through these abstract treatment or kind of tips which Vedas have given us. It's very interesting tip. There's nothing wrong in following it up. Just take Shri Suktam. Shri Suktam, it's praise of Mahalakshmi, isn't it? What is said in Shri Suktam? This is also a Rigveda Suktam only. Aditya varne tapasodhi jato vanaspatistava vrukshotha bilvaha. Now, Aditya varne is Mahalakshmi. She did severe penance. Tapasodhi jataha. Because of her severe penance, Bilva Vruksha was born on earth. The earth was blessed with Bilva Vruksha. Now, the important part is coming behind. Tasya falani tapasanudantu. Its fruits, because of the penance by Mahalakshmi, Maya antarayashcha bahya alakshmihi. Now, the magic inside that fruit is Maya antarayashcha Maya is magic inside that fruit is bahya alakshmi. Means what? Alakshmi is poverty. Here, when if a fruit can remove poverty, then why not everybody in the world keep that fruit and become rich? No. The fruit has to be consumed because the fruit has high rich in antioxidants. And the scientists have proved that the bilva fruits are highly antioxidant in nature, and we use bilva fruits for cancer patients. Because for cancer patients, we need bolus doses of antioxidants. So Maya antarayashcha bahya alakshmi, it removes the toxins. So by Adding the antioxidants, it removes the toxins, free radicals from our body. It removes reactive oxidative stress from our body. It removes the toxins from our body and cleanses us. Just by keeping the bilva, or just by knowing that bilva fruit is good, that doesn't happen. Just like this water. Now somebody is dehydrated, and we will chant Paniyam Shravanashanam Klamaharam Murcha Pipasaharam. I'm not going to get relieved by the dehydration. I have to drink this water. The mantra in that says that it removes dehydration, it will reduce your giddiness, murcha, pipasa, it quenches your thirst. Shramanashanam, klamaharam, it reduces your fatigue. So, you need to understand when to consume, when to chant. All that is there. So that's very important. That's how the Shri Suktam gave us a very important clue about the bilva fruit.
Wow. I think you just picked for us one little glimpse, mystifying glimpse of what is there in Shri Suktam, what is there in Purusha Suktam, what is there in Medha Suktam. And I think, to say that it is a drop in the ocean is also an understatement, because I think
exactly
what is there is as vast as the divine. I think that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Because that much knowledge is there.
Exactly.
And as you said, whatever we have now studied or we are trying to unravel through the modern science is like a sand particle in the ocean shore, because all we have to do is we have to do our homework to substantiate what is already there, because it's all there and it is all established. And the most beautiful thing about also our sages is today we spend billions of dollars to create equipments to understand the universe outside us and also to understand the universe inside us. But in those days, rishis, just through their quietening of the mind and through their connection with the divine, they unraveled everything.
That's true.
They had the entire secret of the universe downloaded onto their brains only through sadhana.
Exactly.
They didn't have to spend a single pie. Today we are spending billions of dollars trying to understand what is already there in the Vedas. And I think that is the reason why Bhagwan asked us to begin first chanting the Vedas. Because Swami has come for Vedodharana. He has come for Veda Poshana, Vedodharana, Vidvat Poshana. I think that is the mission. I think the way forward for the world is to go back and connect to the source of all this knowledge.
Actually.
And I think that is the way for the world. And with time, as we chant, as we understand, as we try and unravel, as we go back and understand these scriptures through the knowledge of Sanskrit, only then probably we will be able
That's
to
right.
Because translations also will not do justice to what is there.
That's true.
So we have to go back.
We have to come together.
We have to come together.
Yes, that's more important.
And I think the Vedic conference now happening in Prashanthalayam will help. And I think a lot of such initiatives are needed. I think that is how Vedodharana can happen.
Yes.
And for the establishment of Dharma, Vedodharana is very important, because Veda and Dharma are absolutely linked. Swami says, the basis for Dharma is the Vedas.
Yes.
And I think all of this is very, very important for us. One is get into it, at least begin to chant, and then slowly spend our time going back to the knowledge that is there and unravel this, so that next time when we chant a mantram, it cannot be a casual exercise for us. It has to be like when I'm chanting a mantram, the divine is sitting on my tongue, and I have to do it with that kind of reverence, because if I do it well, it will just unravel the secrets of myself within me, as well as it will heal me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I think that is the reason why Swami asked us to chant Rudram every day. Swami constantly told us to chant Gayatri mantra.
Rudram is not even mentioned, Rudram needs a complete
I know.
dedicated domain.
Dedicated.
Because I did not bring that in because
I
it is
know.
complete immunology,
Absolutely.
protection and defense
Absolutely.
mechanism. So
Yes.
it will take more time.
I know. And we really need to have more sessions where you can share with us about Rudram. You can talk to us about the Gayatri Mantra. You talked about, how the moon is connected with the mind. And, now in a few weeks from now, we'll be celebrating Shivaratri. And Bhagwan used to mention how it is that night when the mind is least active. And that is the reason
Exactly.
why you should spend that night in the contemplation of the
Right.
divine.
That's true.
And
Absolutely, and it is like, of course, it is Swami who's written the Vedas.
Yes.
So Vedas are saying, and
Yes.
Swami is
just
exactly.
bringing us all that knowledge back, so that, and Swami gave us in little doses, because we have to rise slowly. We have to take those baby steps, because we have strayed away from this knowledge, as you very beautifully said. Ayurveda was conventional medicine in that
those
time,
days.
in those days.
That's true.
So we have to slowly get there.
In Charaka Samhita, there are around 8 there are 8 chapters. It's called Indriyasthan, where he has mentioned patient's lifespan is going to be 2 days, 2 hours, 7 days, 15 days, 21 days. He has given the symptoms. We need to actually come together, work more.
Yes.
We usually, what is happening is, patients naturally during such time of the critical stages, they take the conventional help. It has to come together. Even Ayurvediyas, those who are Sanskrit readers, they should come together and validate those lines.
Yes.
It is necessary now.
Yes. And I think definitely what has happened in the last 45-50 minutes is, we've just got, it's like an appetizer, I would say, for what is there, that Bhagwan has blessed you also with. And if all of us take to the path of chanting Vedas to begin with, because that's what Swami put us. Swami
Exactly.
made Vedam chanting synonymous with his darshan.
Yes.
In those days, music used to be played, and in 2003, 2004, Swami said, I will come for darshan only when Vedam chanting starts. So that's the reason why these Vedas and darshan are not different. They are same. Swami loved to come and sit for hours. There are days when he would just come and he would want the chanting to go on and on and on. And that was the darshan. So I think the mantras are nothing but visions of the divine. And that is how we should take these mantras. That is how, as they say, as you chant the mantras will itself protect you, right?
Mantro rakshati rakshitah.
Mantro dharmo rakshati rakshitah.
Mantro
Mantro
rakshati
rakshati rakshitah. And you have all these axioms which tell you that when we take to this path with absolute deep veneration and absolute sincerity, we have no idea in how many dimensions it can help us.
That's true.
And definitely it will lead us to the divine, because it will lead us to the divine which is already in us. It will lead us to the stage we will realize that we are divine. I think that is the journey for all of us. But thank you so much, madam, for sharing these absolutely priceless pearls of wisdom. And we definitely need to listen more from you, and you should share with us how all of these common mantrams that we chant, if we spend little more time and if we understand them, definitely whatever we are doing will help us in manifold ways.
Yes.
And let us be grateful to Swami for reviving this entire knowledge and bringing it back to our consciousness. And let us pray that, his wisdom glows in us. And I think only through prayer, everything can be unraveled.
Yes, that's true.
And really, thank you so much, madam. And we look forward to having more sessions with you in the Media Center.
Thank you so much.
Sai
Sai
Ram.
Ram.